Okay, we move on and we're going to hear from Guillermo first about learning into action and then Salam about IFC's ongoing relationship with the Barley sector, of which segmentation is a conclusion for the next phase that they're going to implement. So there is a connection between this first one and the second presentation. So Guillermo, do you want to take it on?
Thank you very much, Mark. And thank you very much, Solomon, also for that presentation. Really interesting. Learning into Action is an initiative from AMEA, and it's the engine of learning that we have with members, partners, and beyond. And we're aiming to document and share best practices that support the growth of professional farmer organizations and agri SMEs. We want to have strong examples of this. And in doing so, we're going to learn a little from the IFC Ethiopia team in partnership with Soufflet and local service providers, which is part of our work as well. We have been working in this initiative since 2024, building from case studies that pointed out the lack of these services and the fragmentation that exists. This initiative is anchored in 10 country level communities of practice, meaning that the learnings from each of these case studies will go on to the communities of practice for further discussion. And we're aiming to present 70 strategic mini case studies. Next slide. So far, we have completed 11 baseline studies, meaning one for each country and one global. And then we have mapped out more than 125 strategic agri SME programs in total. For now, we are in the final stretch for two mini case studies. One is the IFC-Soufflet project that we're going to learn about now. And the second one is the ATI's AgriHub that Solomon was talking to us briefly before. So with that being said, I would like to introduce to you Selmawit, who is in charge of this project. She was closely involved in this project aimed to improve business development services for barley aggregators in Ethiopia. And it provided key insights into cost sharing models, service sustainability, and how to effectively tailor BDS for different agri-SME segments. So with that, I leave it to you. Salam, welcome, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Guillermo and AMEA Group for having me. For those of you, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Selmawit. I'm Operations Officer. I'm based in Addis. I'm part of the IFC, Manufacturing, Agribusiness, and Services. For those of you who don't know IFC, we have the private sector arm of the World Bank Group. Our major clients are the private sector, who are in the manufacturing, agribusiness, and services, financial institutions, venture capital, and of course, in the infrastructure area. But we work also closely with the government, especially in terms of improving business climate, policy, regulation that allows investment across the globe. So today I'll be sharing our experience and knowledge, especially in terms of implementing the one of IFC flagship project in Ethiopia. It is called the Soufflet Ethiopia Advisory Service Project. I'll be sharing on phase 1. We are currently embarking on phase 2. So just to give you a highlights of what we have achieved, what was our report, what are the key lessons, and what are the key takeaways also while we're designing also for phase 2. If you go to the next slide. For us, primarily BDS for IFC, it means delivering structured and high impact support for the MSMEs. When it comes to agriculture, it could be for the producers, it could be for the lead farmers, it could be for the retailers. And when we say capacity building, of course, it is majorly in terms of competitiveness, access to finance, of course, operational efficiency, and anything to do with the capacity. I think that's all the priorities for us in terms of the BDS services. This project, it's called Barley Organization of Supply and Trade. We call it Boost. In Ethiopia, it's called Boost, and we have also the Boost 2 now. It was implemented for 3 years from June 2020 to 2023 in partnership with Malt Ethiopia. It's an IFC client where IFC has an investment of 20 million euro, and with Heineken, which are also the biggest players in Ethiopia. And of course, our implementing partners in terms of agronomy EU Court. And for this BDS support, it's the Precise Consult, one of the leading consulting firms in Ethiopia, and who have been really partnering with us in terms of delivering this BDS services for the last 5-6 years. When we look at the partners, we are doing this implementation of this project with the Ethiopian government, especially ATI. I'm really happy to see also Selmawit and others. The Bureau of Agriculture, microfinance institutions, the banks were also involved. City enterprise, especially the AMEA city enterprise, agrochemicals, PVEDs, colleges, and other research centers were involved. The major ultimate goal of this project is to support Soufflet Malt Ethiopia to source at least 80,000 metric tons per year by the end of the project. As some of you may know, malt barley in Ethiopia being one of the mostly grown, but also in terms of which needs a huge support in terms of yield, and of course, a huge involvement with the private sector. Soufflet coming into the market, I think it has also really revamped, challenged in a good way, really making Ethiopia on the map of Africa in terms of the malt barley production. So we implemented this project in different locations. These are Oromia, Amhara, Gurage, and Sidama areas. If you go to the next one, yes. So basically, this project, I think, had a good achievement, I would say, over 3 years of engagement. One, at least we had 100% achievement, where Soufflet secured almost 88,000 of metric ton per year. It's for us. We reached around 79,000 farmers. We reached around 7,000 female-headed households. For us, also really huge impact. We managed to work with almost 52,000 hectares of land. One of the good things about this project is also introduction of e-payment, which was really paper-based solution, especially for aggregators, where Soufflet was partnering with an Indian solution provider who were able really to mitigate the slow process of payment for aggregators to be done in a few days, in a few hours to be done. So we had around 60 aggregators using the e-payment system. And one of the biggest impact for us also, increasing the farmers' income revenue, which were able to achieve almost 126 million over 3 years of project implementation. If we go to what we did in terms of the BDS service, if we go to the next slide, please. For us, BDS is really critical because 100% of Ethiopian malt barley is produced by smallholders. But when it comes to really aggregating it, serving it, and giving it to the likes of Soufflet, Heineken, even other malters and brewers, it is done through model farmers, cooperatives. The key thing of this project is also selecting who could be the potential model farmers, co-ops, and unions who could be partnering with Soufflet. The selection was done in terms of do they have licensing, do they have experience in grain trade, do they have credibility in the sector, that we have to bring around 91 model farmers, 7 cooperatives, and 2 unions. We provided agribusiness leadership training. I think most of the AMEA members are aware of it. I hope this is a flagship program also for us to support malt barley aggregators in terms of their membership service, performances, increasing their capacity in risk management, honoring contract, financial transactions, and others. So we were really able to deliver this training starting from what do these model farmers lack? What are the training gaps? And then designing the modules. We have also a lot of modules that we have to customize to the local context, to the culture, to the value chain, to the language, and provide at least 6 to 12 months of training and provide as well coaching. I think for us, the coaching was the biggest impact, which has been delivered through Precise. So we have seen high level of interest, high level of improvement, especially in record keeping, which is really critical, where the government is coming and asking you really to declare your financials, where they have to really, to transact with Soufflet, there has to be receipts and other transactions have to be documented. The budget has to be done. And of course, providing also other contributions for the economy as well. I think those were really critical. For us, it was also done through that. When we embarked into this project, we had to also work with Precise in terms of training, capacitating also their staff who will be cascading the training to the co-ops, to the unions, and to the model farms. Just to share you some of the key lessons that we have. If you go to the next slide, please. For Ethiopia, I think in general, malt barley development, where we are now, where the government is also claiming that 100% import substitution, it took almost 10 years. It started with Heineken, Soufflet, Kemi, other players started playing. I think that's really a holistic government, private sector combination of development finances that we are coming to this end. And we have seen also aggregators and the farmers having a good relationship, especially in forming formal contract farming arrangement, which is really critical. As I mentioned earlier, more than 400 contracts were signed. For that, it has to be facilitated. It has to be envisaged in terms of in what context, in what price. Is it the market price? Is it the prevailing prices? That set of, I think, arrangement has been really helped us in terms of building that relationship. The other one is also the input-output financing. Of course, I think it's all over, especially in Africa. Finance is really the bloodstream of agriculture, which is really missing across our financial institutions. One of the additionality of this project and the Soufflet is also to provide input loan and output financing, especially for seed producers in terms of input loan, output financers for aggregators that have been really trained with this project. It has supported augmenting the production, improving the yield, and of course, delivering the required. The other one is the Agribusiness Leadership Program, which I mentioned earlier. I think it has been really instrumental in terms of really packaging the training, providing it in an adult learning scheme, and of course, the coaching, which has really helped in terms of mindset, proper trading as a proper businesses, and of course, for the model farmers, for the aggregators, really to operate and to work with a corporate client like the Soufflet and the Heineken. I think has been really valuable for that. And the other one is, I think, adaptation, which is, I think, more efficient and effective approach, which could be also replicated in other value chains. I think when I say adaptation, being flexible, being adaptable, because during that time we had so many challenges. We had conflict, we had COVID, so many things happen in the country. So adapting your way of developing and also providing it, I think, in an effective manner. If classroom-based is not effective, can we really look into virtual? Can we look into telephone? Can we really look into SMA space? That kind of adaptation, I think, was really one of the key findings for us. And the last one is, I think, this could be a scalable approach. I think most people are saying, yes, malt barley is one of the structured value chain in Ethiopia, but it could be the model that we have approached. I think it could be also scaled up for other value chains. When I look into some of also, if you go to the next slide, please, insights and recommendation, I think one thing for us, I think the return on investment for us, I think that it's been valuable. The project cost and the return that we have really acquired in terms of from the service delivery, I think is really critical and impressive for us. For example, in terms of the advisory, compared to what we have invested in the return, it's $1 to $27. When it comes to the return on investment on the advisory, because it costed us around $300,000 per service delivery, but also in terms of the revenue generated, it's almost $500,000, the median average revenue generated. When you calculate that, the return is almost $1 to $183, which is really critical for us. The other one that Matilda and Ato Solomon mentioned, the segmentation, I think it really needs to be carefully designed. That's what we learned, because everybody's not the same. The cooperatives, they have a level of maturity. Some are really excellent in what they are doing. Some are medium, some are really fresh. They really need hand-holding. Others, the top layers, the maturity, maybe your intensity and the delivery could not be to the level of the hand-holding. So I think that segmentation has been really one of the critical things for us. The other one that I mentioned, the flexibility, because we had COVID, conflict, so many things. And so I think being flexible as much as possible, a remote service delivery. If PDS cannot be done only in a classroom based, in a confined area, how shall we deliver it? I think that was also one of the insights for us. And the LP metric tool, especially when you develop the agribusiness leadership, the first thing is assessment, just to have the baseline, to have the data. So that has also, I think, applying the NP metric tool helped us also in terms of reducing the cost. It has to be very concise, it has to be doable, it has to be translated. Even the one that gets the report, the BDS report, it should be very simple for them to understand it. Easily know where are my limitations, where can I improve, and what are the areas that really need focus, and what kind of support do I need. I think that was also something that we have also insight. The other one, of course, we had also assessment of how do you find the training? They say very important, essential, but the willingness to pay for this service, I think it should be something that we are also considering, because it has been subsidized to IFC, Soufflet and Heineken, a collaboration. But how do we incentivize also the BDS service receivers also? Because this is value for money. It is a business skill that it should have been paid, but now we are providing it for free for you. In the return, the quantity, volume of barley would be delivered. But in the future, how can we really incentivize them? And we're also considering, is this something maybe the off-takers could say, unless you take a BDS service of this type, I'm not going to go into a contract. That kind of, I wouldn't say obligatory, but something to put it on the table. I think that's something that we are also thinking. And data collection. I think data is the power. Everything is about data. It's about decision making. What we did is we did a baseline and we're doing the end line. But something that needs improvement is in the middle. Where are they? How much are they really improving? I think that's also something to be considered and critical for us, and considering it also for phase two. Maybe next slide, please. Yeah, these are also some of the learnings that we captured. I just wanted to add, especially dealing with the cooperatives. I think there are really excellent opportunities working with the cooperatives, but some of the challenges that we saw is also decision-making power, especially with quick businesses, very quick decisions has to be made. For that, I think some of our cooperatives really lack commercial managers. So I wish we had really even development partners really to think of having a commercial manager, a business lead who could actually help our cooperatives. The membership is excellent. The leadership, the structure, the governance, the policy, the strategy is there. But really, in terms of leadership, I think we see a huge limitation. The second is the payment pilot that we have done. I think it was successful for us because, as I mentioned earlier, currently Soufflet is the number one quickest payer in the country in terms of aggregators. But I think it has been helpful for aggregators. But whenever farmers deliver, I think it's something when the mobile interventions and other aspects are really coming, it could be something to be expanded. This is also with the network. This is the coverage, e-payment, mobile money, something to be looked at. The other one is gender analysis. If you see my slide first, we achieved around 7,300 women-aided households, despite the fact that we achieved almost 79,000 farmers. So how do we really bring a full-fledged strategy in terms of gender, really to put it at the front? How do we really bring in women aggregators, women lead farmers, women traders, women female-headed households really to be on the front?
Salam, I was running out of time a little bit. I don't know, the last three are all about scaling, and I'm wondering whether they're quite complex. And that could be discussed in the breakout group if you want, in terms of scaling strategies for this approach.
Sure,
what
it's
do you
possible.
think?
Just to flag, I think in terms of the BDS service, it is a concerted effort. I wouldn't say it should be done by the private, but I think the hands of the public sector and development financiers, I think it needs a critical role of playing all of us together to make it viable, investable, and where there could be also a return on investment, but also it could be payable. It's not like that we are providing it for free, but the receivers are paying. It could be a compulsory for the off-takers, maybe to think of that modality, just to flag that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Salam. And there's definitely some parallels with what ATI presented as well, isn't there? And you're talking to ATI. So I think something could happen in Ethiopia in terms of, bringing these ideas together and pushing in the same direction. It would be great to see. Okay.
We were discussing with them, Mark. I think there will be something popping up, and we have already MOU signed, but that needs to be coming into actualization. Yes.
So as you see, there's proposed questions for the breakout group, but you could bring your own questions as well. But yeah, there's some very interesting questions there that you might want to address.
Yes.
Yeah, go on, Salam.
No, I think this could be part of our discussion points. How can we make it scalable, payable, it's demand driven, that kind of elements? I think it's open for discussion. Thank you.